Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Not a great series. Sorry, I almost said season. Not a great series with the Tampa Bay Rays. 4-game set at Camden Yards. Orioles and Rays split that series. But good news, as you can see, courtesy of MASSonSports.com, celebration as yesterday, Sunday, the Orioles and the Rays clinched playoff berths. No matter the standings or the records or what have you, the Orioles and the Rays will both make the playoffs this season. This was due to the loss by the Texas Rangers. And not to go in vain and have to celebrate this momentous occasion, Orioles also won the last game of the series. All right, let's get into the not-so-good part of this series. Game 1, Thursday night, Tampa Bay Rays 4, Baltimore Orioles 3. Rutschman batting 1, Henderson batting 2. Rutschman over. Henderson 1 for 4. That was a home run, solo home run. Struck out 2 times. Santander over, struck out all 4 times. O'Hearn 1 for 4, also a solo home run, struck out 3 times. Hayes 0 for 3, struck out twice. Mullins 1 for 3. Do not remember, it was not an extra base hit. But he was able to score. Hicks 0 for 2, walk and a strikeout. Westberg 1 for 2. Heston Kjerstad did pinch hit late for Westberg. I was kind of surprised. Westberg has actually been hitting very good this year. But, Brandon Hyde likes to play the matchups. Kjerstad is left-handed. Westberg hits from the right side. Kjerstad did not get a hit this time. And Arias came in as a defensive replacement because Kjerstad's not playing the infield. Or at least not third base. Frazier 0 for 3. Did have an RBI though. Why did I mention all the strikeouts? Or most of them anyway. 15. Orioles struck out 15 times. There's only 27 outs in the game. Whew. That's bad. Home runs, O'Hearn, Henderson, as you can see. No other extra base hits. Kyle Bradish got to start in this one. Went 7 innings, which is very good. Gave up 7 hits, which isn't great, but you can see the 0 next to the walk. So it's a whip of 1. You'll take it, man. I mean, if you're going to give me 7 innings and only give up 7 hits, I'm okay with that. But you don't like the 4 earned runs. Though it would have been nice if the Orioles offense could have put up a few more, 4 runs isn't really that bad for your pitching staff on a given night. Bradish did strike out 5. So while not the greatest performance and didn't get a win in this one, in fact, he got the loss, really not a bad performance. Jorge Lopez pitched the 8th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Cano pitched the 9th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. But the Orioles, at least at this point, were on kind of a losing skid, and Cano needed some work. That's why your closer, or I guess maybe interim closer, get to that later. Article to talk about there. Friday's game. Tampa Bay Rays 7, Baltimore Orioles 1. If you can keep up with the Orioles' rotation, you know exactly who was pitching in this one. mean, this was a no contest from the get-go. It was obvious that the Orioles were going to be shut down at the plate, and the Rays were not. 13 hits by the Rays, two hits by the Orioles. Henderson, this is the start of what I think this trend is going to be. Henderson and Rutschman flipped. Henderson hitting leadoff, Rutschman hitting behind him. For Rutschman, I think that is he's a typical two-hole hitter. And he's good. He's a good hitter in general, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to strike out a bunch of times on 3 straight pitches, even though he did strike out twice in this one. Henderson, is Henderson your prototypical leadoff man? I don't know. I mean, in today's Major League Baseball, I think it's a very good spot for him. Though, Henderson 0 for 4, Rutschman 0 for 4. Santander 0 for 4. O'Hearn 0 for 3. Hicks 0 for 2 with a walk. Mullins 1 for 3. Oh my God, somebody got a hit. How about that? And, as in typical Brandon Hyde fashion, the only person that was actually doing something in the lineup is the one that gets pinch hit or pinch ran for. Heston Kjerstad, who actually ended up getting 2 at-bats in this one. How did they do the DH thing? Oh, I'm sorry. Screwed that all up. Because they don't have the picture here for Kjerstad, and it threw me off. Mullins was not pinch hit for. He did have all the bats. He played out there the whole time. Kjerstad actually got the start in this one. Started at DH, and that is probably where we are going to see him. Potentially maybe some reps at first base. Not a whole lot. So you can see 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored. Yes. Heston Kjerstad in his, second or third Major League at-bat? Solo home run. Kjerstad was pinch hit for late in the game. But, and that's what I mean, typical Brandon Hyde fashion. One of the 2 guys that was actually getting hit in the lineup, you pinch hit for. As I mentioned, Kjerstad's a lefty. So, when a lefty comes in to pitch, and you're a young hitter, Brandon Hyde is most likely going to pinch hit for you. Hayes 0 for 1. Westberg 0 for 3. Frazier 0 for 2. Arias pinch hit late 0 for 1. A little bit of an improvement this night as the Orioles only struck out 13 times. Unlucky number. Kjerstad home run. Only extra base hit. And here's the starters. See what I was saying about if you follow the Orioles rotation? Jack Flaherty got to start in this one. Yeah. He was able to get through 4 innings, though. Flaherty pitches 4 innings, gives up 6 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk. Did strike out 6, so it's weird that he can get all these strikeouts, but at the same time giving up a bunch of hits and a bunch of runs. It's odd. It's odd. Jacob Webb gets the 5th inning, so 1 inning pitched. Does give up a hit, but no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. D.L. Hall. Starter had to leave early, so you got to find some length from somebody. D.L. Hall, somewhat of a converted starter to relief pitcher. Did not have it this night. Faced 3 batters. Hall threw 9 pitches in total. Gave up 3 hits, 3 runs. Didn't walk anybody, which is, it's okay. It's at least you're near the zone. Didn't strike anybody out. Brian Baker. Bad luck. As in, what happened? I guess Hall gave up several hits, but when he left, there were 2 runners on. There was runners at the corners, first and third. So technically, D.L. Hall didn't give up all the runs because Baker, as Brandon Hyde was very quick to take D.L. Hall out, face a minimum of 3 batters. Brian Baker comes in, and a pinch hitter, and I can't remember the guy's name. 1 pitch from Brian Baker, and it goes way out of there. Wow. To me, it looked like a cookie. It was like, here you go, hit it. And, it was right in the heart of the plate. Not great. Luckily, Baker does end up going 3 innings. Only gives up 2 hits. Only gives up the 1 run on the home run that he gave up. Very odd, because he was able to shut down the Rays after that. No walks. Didn't strike anybody out, though. Cionel Perez pitches the 9th inning for the Orioles. Gives up 1 hit. No runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Very uncharacteristic game for the Orioles. But as in true Oriole fashion, here comes Game 3, and they will not be held down for long. Only a 4-game losing streak, and it's guaranteed that, again, they have not been swept in a series. Tampa Bay Rays 0, Baltimore Orioles 8, and this was Saturday night's game. Henderson leading off here, 3 for 5, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Rutschman 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. Santander 0 for. It's not great. To a certain extent, he probably does need some time off. Hard-fought series between the Rays and the Orioles, but hard-fought by both teams. And part of the reason why the Orioles were able to most likely win the last 2 games is because they essentially forced Tampa Bay to use all their good bullets. And by the time the 3rd and the 4th game came around, the bullpen was a little taxed, a little tired. But that's kind of how it goes. O'Hearn, 1 for 4, RBI and a walk. Hayes, 0 for. Hicks, 2 for 3 with a walk and scored twice. Mullins, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Arias, 2 for 4 with an RBI and scored a run. Frazier, 1 for 3. Walked once, drove 1 in, and scored twice himself. Henderson, home run off of Glasnow. Who's actually a very good pitcher for the Tampa Rays, but not this night. Hicks stole a base. Been trying to think of a very good pun for this. For Grayson Rodriguez's performance on Saturday night. Something out of a Batman comic book, or maybe a Nightwing comic book. But that's really the best I got. And one of the greatest performances that Grayson Rodriguez has had this year, if not the greatest, goes 8 innings, 8 full innings, only gives up 5 hits, doesn't give up any runs, doesn't walk anybody, and strikes out 7. Absolutely superb outing. And he did that all in 95 pitches. He was able to do all that less than 100 pitches. Absolutely fantastic outing. Did have some good fielding behind him. Yes, Arias had an error, but a lot of great fielding, which the Orioles didn't have too much of the previous 2 games. There were necessarily a lot of errors, but very hard, difficult plays that people like, say, Gunnar Henderson or a Mateo or Hicks or Mullins, Hayes, the outfielders, plays that they usually come up with, just wasn't happening for them the first 2 nights. but things turn around in Game 3-4. Mike Baumann back up here with the big club. Pitches the 9th inning. No hits, no runs. Walks 1, strikes out 1. This is absolutely what the Orioles needed. They needed a comeback game. What do they call it? The stopper. That's what they call it in the rotation. When things are going bad, you're not having great performances from your starter. You need that starter to come in and say, enough of that. Enough of that. All that stops here, and I'm going to have a great performance. And that is exactly what we saw from Grayson Rodriguez Saturday night. Really turning the corner here, trying to fight Kyle Bradish for best starter in the Orioles rotation. Sunday's game. This game actually took 11 innings. This is much more of a game that speaks to the battle the Rays and the Orioles have been having this season. Tampa Bay Rays 4, Orioles 5. Henderson 0 for 5. Rutschman 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and scored 2 runs. Santander, another 0 for. And you can see DL Hall placed in here. Something crazy happened where they put the DH in the field. What? Who's DH? Rutschman DH'd. And that means McCann caught, but later in the game, because, McCann's righty, and there are other left-handed hitters on the bench, Brandon Hyde wanted to pinch hit for McCann. Therefore, Rutschman had to catch, and Orioles lost the DH. That's why there are a lot of things over here, like, say, Fujinami and Cano, because pitcher spot. Now, why did the pitcher spot change? Well, what is this? You move your DH into catch, and then you end up putting Westberg at second, and then Frazier goes to right field. Some kind of double switching in there. Crazy stuff. What it is. Crazy stuff. But none of the pitchers got an at-bat in this game. Brandon Hyde, being a veteran of the National League, coming up in the National League, understood how to do all these double switches. Ryno Hearn, 1 for 4, actually absolutely laid down a perfect bunt late in the game. Something he hadn't done in 5 years, but was able to get it done for us yesterday. Mullins 0 for 4, but did drive a run in. Hayes 2 for 4, also with an RBI. Mateo pinch ran late. Did not get credit for an at-bat, but did score a run. Hayes, not exactly slow, but he is hobbled because, it's Austin Hayes and he's always injured somehow. Jorge Mateo is much faster. Adam Frazier, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Urias 0 for. Aaron Hicks pinch hit late. Was 0 for 1, but was able to score a run. Out on a fielder's choice, I think. McCann, 1 for 2. Kerstad, 0 for 1. Westberg, 0 for 1. So, not much of anything from that last spot in the lineup. But, however. Except, McCann, double. You see that right there. McCann, Frazier, O'Hearn, Rutschman, doubles. Home run, Rutschman. It was off of... Rutschman's home run was off of Fairbanks. When did should have been this one right here in the 9th inning to tie the game up. Or was it in the 8th inning? Well, that's a good question. I haven't got a clue. No, we're there. It is play-by-play. As soon as this loads up, let's go with the scoring. Yes. So, as you can see, the Rays were at least when the Orioles came to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning, Rays had 3, Orioles had 1. Till Adley Rutschman hits a home run. Now, Fairbanks was in there. The Tampa closer was in there to get a 2-inning save, because that's what you really needed to do if you were the Tampa Rays. And this is here. You see Mateo scores. Hayes gets on, but being hobbled. Mateo's in there to pinch run at first. Frazier double, so Mateo's able to come all the way around. Hayes wouldn't have been able to do that. Now that was in the 9th inning, and therefore the game was tied. Therefore, in the 10th inning, with the extra runner on, the Rays were able to push the run across in the 10th, and so were the Orioles. Adley Rutschman again. Hicks was on second base and was able to score on Rutschman's hit. Now here you see the bottom of the 11th where Cedric Mullins has a sacrifice fly to walk off the game. Adley Rutschman was on second base. It was some kind of rule with technically the last out was that pitcher's spot. Now, Major League Baseball doesn't make you put the pitcher out there to run the bases. So you are allowed to put somebody else. Didn't really quite get what the rules were as to who you had to use. But it ended up being Adley Rutschman out there to run at second base. All right, let's go back to the box score. Very exciting last few innings of yesterday's game, and something the Orioles really needed to do to split the series and remain 2 games up on the Tampa Rays in the AL East. Dean Kremer got the start in this one. Not the greatest outing by Dean Kremer, but he did go 5 innings. He only gave up 2 hits, and he only gave up 1 run, and he only walked 2, which is actually very good. But he did get up there to 86 pitches. Kremer actually struck out 5. If I remember correctly, Kremer did come out for the 6th inning. But in true Brandon Hyde fashion, when that happens, I guess that would be incorrect. In old Brandon Hyde fashion, something Brandon Hyde used to do, he hasn't really done too much this year anyway. You let a pitcher go out there for another inning where you may have been thinking no, but the pitcher convinces you to go out there. He lets the first guy or maybe even the second guy get on base. Quick hook. And that's what happened. Coulomb came in the 6th inning with a runner on first, if I'm not mistaken. Coulomb ends up pitching an inning in 1/3. No hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. Jorge Lopez ends up pitching an inning in 1/3 right after Coulomb. 2 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. Actually gave up back-to-back home runs. Luckily, they were only solo home runs. At least I think they were back-to-back. Pretty sure they were back-to-back. Cino Perez gets the final out of the, would have been the 6th, what is this, the 8th inning? Yeah, should be the 8th inning. Cino Perez gets the final out of the 8th inning. No hits, no runs, no walks, and no strikeouts. Very efficient performance from Perez. Fuji goes in there for the first 2 outs of the 9th inning. Does give up a hit, but no runs. Did walk 1, but also struck 1 out. So Cano in there to finish out the 9th inning. 1 out in the 9th inning. He gets the 1 out. But as you can see, his final line, because he also did pitch the full 10th. No hits. He did give up a run, but not an earned run because that was the extra man placed out there at second base. Didn't walk anybody, didn't strike anybody out. DL Hall, Brandon Hyde going back to his guys. even though DL Hall didn't have a great performance the last time out. DL Hall closes out the game, the 11th inning. Well, I guess he technically doesn't close out the game. He would close out the Rays batting in the 11th with a full inning pitched very well. No hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. And then Mullins walked it off in the Orioles half of the 11th inning. Now, it wasn't necessarily that win that got the Orioles the playoff berth, but it did make the celebration feel worthy. Because if they'd have lost, kind of would have had a bad taste in your mouth. How can you celebrate that, right? All right, let's get into an article written by Steve Molesky. This was written yesterday, September 17th. A little bit of an update on Felix Bautista and Ryan Mountcastle as well. The Orioles are sticking with the fact that Bautista has a... Do you give any specifics on what it is? Partial tear in his ulnar collateral ligament. As of right now, they are not going with surgery. They are going with rest. He did, well, some rest to a certain extent because it doesn't say what day. Threw off the mound in what Steve Molesky says. Bautista threw off the mound in an Orioles bullpen session before the finale with Tampa Bay. So he's thrown off the mound. Instead of just playing catch in the outfield, he's actually able to throw off the mound without a lot of pain. I mean, okay. I mean, do what you got to do. I don't think it's the greatest idea in the world, but do you, bro. Ryan Mountcastle, to the best of my knowledge, he has not been placed on the injured list. At least this article doesn't specifically say that. But Mountcastle is still dealing with some kind of left shoulder. That is what Steve Molesky says. He listed as left shoulder discomfort. Not being very detailed in what exactly is wrong with Mountcastle and if he will need to miss X amount of time. Don't know yet, but don't expect to see a whole lot from Ryan Mountcastle for a bit anyway. All right, let's get into the standings. Big series with the Rays. All right, let's make sure we're refreshed here. Orioles still have a 2-game lead on the Tampa Bay Rays. Haven't exactly clinched. How many games are we at? 149. Is that am I reading that right? All right, the Toronto Blue Jays are 10.5 games back from the lead in the AL East, so technically the Blue Jays have not been eliminated from that. But with only, assuming my math is correct here, with 13 games left, the Yankees and the Red Sox have been eliminated from being able to take the lead in the American League East, which sounds fantastic to me anyway. Cleveland is trying to put pressure on the Twins in the Central, but that doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Houston Astros are winning the American League West right now. They have 84 wins. The Rangers have 82 right behind them and only a game and a half back. Seattle's right behind them with 81 wins. They are 2.5 games back. Braves keep beating everybody. Why did I specifically wanted to mention the West? Well, let's take a look at the schedule. Kind of disappointing the way the schedule works out here, but you have this 4-game series with Tampa. Yes, you are at home, which is nice, but immediately got to go fly to Texas because you are now in Houston for a 3-game set with the Houston Astros. Winners of not winners, leaders in the National League West. Monday and Tuesday games are set for 8 to 10 p.m. Wednesday's game scheduled for 2:10 p.m. And this will be in Houston. And then the Orioles will go Googa Mooga. Oh, wow, they have a Monday off. That's odd. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Houston, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Cleveland. So 7 more days without an off day. That sucks. Holy crap. Wow, that game before the Red Sox series. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 17. The Orioles are in the midst of a 17-game stretch where they get no days off. But they will get a Monday off, a rare... No, I guess it's not a rare Monday off. The Mondays they do schedule off days on Mondays, but it'll be a while. A 2-game set with the Nationals at home, and then a 4-game set with the Red Sox at home to close out the season. We're getting there. We are getting there. Only, 4 more series left in this season. Getting close, as I mentioned. 13 games left. Well, 1, 2, 3. Then it'll be 7. That'll be 9. Yes, 13 games left for the Baltimore Orioles. You see, there was a difference between how many the Rays had played and how many the Orioles had played. So down the stretch here, you had the 17-game stretch that the Orioles are in, plus the 13 games left. So in the last 30 games, assuming my math is correct, 1 day off. Wow. Kind of a big old screw you to the Orioles, huh? Gee, thanks, Major League Baseball. Well, it is what it is, I guess. All right, we're going to wrap this episode of Ryno's Orioles Report up. Next show, I will talk about the Houston Astros series, and that will be on... I did it again. It will be Thursday. This coming Thursday, we'll talk about the Astros series. Hopefully the Orioles didn't celebrate too much, and, they were throwing booze around at each other in the locker room. Brandon Hyde was there. Elias was there. John Angelos was there. I mean, it's nice to see. You just hope they didn't celebrate too much because they had to get on a flight and go to Houston and play a game today. Whew. Well, all right. Let's get out of here. That's going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.